Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to do my March wrap up. Alright, so in the month of March, I read 6 whole books, which is pretty good for me. My average is between 4 to 6, but I actually got to the full 6 this month, so that's exciting for me. I'm trying to get 5 to 6 books every month, but some months are slower than others, and yeah. For example, this month is the month of the Owls Readathon, and right now I've read 1.5 books. And the one I have read was a graphic novel. So there's that. Anyways, let's get to talking about the books I did read. One thing I do want you guys to comment down below is how you would prefer me to do these videos, because usually I just do them in the list that they are in my notebook that I record everything. So you guys let me know if you want me to do it like lowest rating to highest rating or chronological order of when I read them. Any of those ways, let me know in the comments and I will try and make my future wrap-ups to be like that. But I'm going to start this one off with a book that I gave a 5 out of 5 stars. This book was fantastic. I even dedicated a whole reading vlog to it. You guys guessed it, it's Skyward by Brandon Sanderson. This book was awesome. I loved this book. Ever since I've put it down, I've been in search of another book that will make me feel the way this one did, because I just had a great time reading it. And I think it's hard going forward because now I'm like comparing books to this one, trying to find one that lives up to it. And it's just, it hasn't happened yet, but I still have a lot of the year to go, so I'm sure I'll find one in 2020, hopefully. For those of you that don't know, this book is about a girl named Spensa who is training to be a pilot. In this world, pilots are known as kind of like they're warriors, and they're very like high up, and everybody wants to be one. And Spensa's father was actually a pilot, but he ended up being branded a coward after he died on one of the flight pilot routine runs that they had. And so now Spensa is trying to also become a pilot, but kind of prove everybody wrong that she's not a coward like her father was. And man, oh man, was it ever a journey. I really liked this book. I don't have any bad things to say about it because all of the characters were so well developed that even if it wasn't a main character and it was a little side character that was in there, you still had like super strong feelings for this side character. And I find it so rare that there's books that have that. And Spensa herself had the attitude of like an ancient war chief. The way she like spoke in and like talked to her classmates was hilarious. And like I found myself snorting and laughing every time I was reading this book because of all the different things that Spensa said. The battle scenes were really well written, and like I could actually feel like I was there in the action. So that was awesome as well. And this is just the first book in a series, so there's so much more to be explored, and I'm so excited to get to the rest of it. So yeah, this is one of Marcus's books, and he has the second book on the shelf, but he hasn't read it yet, so I can't read it until he reads it. So I don't know when I will get to Starsight, but I know that when I do, I'm going to love it. If my hair is messy, it's because I took a nap today after work because I was exhausted. This whole staying inside thing and not doing anything else is really getting to me and making me very tired. The next book I read was Love Boat Taipei. I did this as a buddy read with Amanda, and her channel name is Her Pacific Northwest Washington Life, which I will leave in the description down below. She's going to be super proud of me because I got it right this time, but I actually had to look it up so that I could say it right, so there you go, Amanda. I received this book in physical art copy from HarperCollins. I gave this book a 4 out of 5. It was actually really entertaining, and I didn't know if I was going to enjoy it that much, but I ended up liking it quite a bit. This book is about a girl named Ever, and she ends up going to this kind of like prestigious school in Taipei, and she doesn't know what to expect because this is her first time away from her family and on her own, completely by herself, able to do whatever she wants. So then she kind of learns that at this school, they don't necessarily take everything seriously, and they do a lot of things in the night, like they go out in the nightlife, go to nightclubs, and do stuff like that. So she makes a lot of new friendships and meets a lot of new people in this book. I would rate this as a diverse rom-com contemporary where it really does hit you in the feels at points. And I really enjoyed learning all about Asian culture while following along with Ever and her experiences in Taipei. Amanda actually really enjoyed this book too, and I don't know what rating she gave it. I think she gave it either like a 3 or a 4 or a 3.5, somewhere in that range, but I know that she did say that she enjoyed it as much as I did. And I don't know, I feel like we have very similar tastes in books. So yeah, there's going to be lots more buddy reads between the two of us because we kind of like plan one every month now. So yeah, but it's fun. I would suggest doing buddy reads if you haven't done one before because they're a lot of fun. The next book I read was The Only Child. This was also sent to me by HarperCollins, so thank you for that again. This book is about a young woman who is a criminal psychologist, and she gets called up and asked to do an interview with a famous serial killer. This serial killer has been in prison for a very long time. He's almost on his death sentence. They're going to be giving him the lethal injection soon, and he hasn't spoken to anybody up until now, where he just randomly wanted to have an interview with this criminal psychologist. So naturally she agrees because that's a sweet thing to put on your resume, and so she goes and does this interview. So the book follows along with her as she does the interview, and it lasts for most of the book. And as she's doing this interview, there's stuff happening in her life that also kind of ties together with this. A young girl gets brought into her life, and this young girl is the daughter of her husband. The young girl was staying with her grandparents, but the grandparents mysteriously died in a fire, and now this young girl has been put under their care. The criminal psychologist starts to notice similarities between this girl and the serial killer that she is doing the interview with and studying. And so it kind of is like, it's very much so a thriller in the sense that you don't know what to expect and you don't know what's happening. I wouldn't say it was super thrilling for me. There were parts that were thrilling, but overall I kind of saw where the book was going from the very beginning. It is told in multiple perspectives, so that's nice because you kind of get to like piece it together from everybody's point of view. And originally, when I finished this book, I gave it a 3 out of 5, but then the more I sat on it and thought about it, I ended up rating it a 4 out of 5. Yes, it was a little predictable, but it's still, like, when I think about it, I still get chills with some of the things that did happen in the book. And so that's why my rating went up. And yeah, sometimes I do this where I will initially rate a book and then sit on it and think about it a bit more and either rate it higher or lower. But this one managed to get the 4 out of 5. And yeah, I would suggest picking it up. Like, it was a decent book, and I think even with the predictability, you'll still enjoy the journey throughout from start to finish and get those like heebie-jeebie, like creepy vibes that you want from a thriller. So yeah, this book and also Love Boat Taipei are now out and able to buy. I received them as ARCs, but you can purchase them now. Then I read Sister of Sednaya. This was one of my TBRJR picks of the month, and it was not great for me. This book tells the tale of a Syrian refugee who comes to America when she's, I think, 14, and her life in America after coming over as a refugee. Honestly, this book kind of put me in a reading slump. It was really hard to get through, and not hard because it was like rough material. I was just very bored throughout the book. The main character was okay, and I liked her, but everything else in the story just was not interesting to me. Like, I did not find any interest in this book, and I wish I could give it a higher rating, but I only gave it a 2.5 out of 5 because I just couldn't get there. The only reason it got 2.5 is because the main character had a bit of a snippy attitude, and I thought that was very entertaining, but that was like the only part of the book that I liked. And yeah, so this book just, it wasn't great. And I feel like nothing really happened throughout the whole book. So yeah. Then I read my other TBR jar pick of the month, and that was Children of Wrath. This one, however, was awesome. I really liked this one. I ended up giving this one a 4 out of 5 stars. This book is about a doctor named Ethan who, at the beginning of the book, he is working when a chemical terrorist attack happens, and he has to deal with the aftermath along with his fellow doctors and all the people coming to the hospital after being exposed to this chemical nerve gas. Now, it happens, and then the story picks up 5 years later, where people realize that this chemical attack had an effect on the people. So now any children being born post terrorist attack have a chemical imbalance in their brains where they're being labeled as inexorables, which means that they don't have any like sympathy or empathy or anything like that. So they're kind of just like very dangerous children that want to like see the world burn. And the story picks up when Ethan notices one of these children on a cold night, and Ethan has to make a decision that could cost him everything and unravel some dark woven secrets. This book was really good. I enjoyed it quite a bit. As I was reading this book, I got hints of how like Blake Crouch writes, which if any of you know, Blake Crouch is one of the authors that I really enjoy now after reading Recursion and Dark Matter. So I got like small vibes of Blake Crouch in here, which was enough to like keep me interested and like pulled me into the story. And I think that's awesome. I definitely like the dystopian angle that it took on the future with people dealing with the aftermath of this chemical warfare attack. And I found it very interesting to see how these children were treated and how people were trying to solve the problem on why this was happening. The book ended in a way that had me like gripped till the last page, and I was so excited about it. So I messaged the author right after finishing the book, and she was excited that I really enjoyed the book and actually sent me the other 2 books to finish off the series. So now I have the second book, which is Soldiers of Salem, and the third book, which is Victors of Liberty. So I'm really looking forward to finishing off this series and reading these 2 books as well. And I hope I enjoy them as much as I enjoyed the first one. But regardless, I'm excited to have this series on my shelf now. And the last book I read this month, which was ending on a high note, was Wicked King by Holly Black. Now, if you guys have seen my other videos, you know that I really enjoyed The Cruel Prince. And Wicked King, I enjoyed just as much. It was so good. I can't say really anything about this book because I would be giving away things from The Cruel Prince if I said anything about this one, but it keeps up the pace and just keeps going and going, and you get more of the characters and you get more of the action and more of all the like little plots happening in the background. Oh, I just loved it. I loved it so much. And I liked that we got to see more of the world of Fae. We got to explore different areas of the world of Fae that weren't exactly explored in the first book. And there was just so much. When I finished this book, I put it down and I looked at Marcus and I was like, yep, that was just as good. And so now I'm really looking forward to reading the last one in this series, because like the first one and the second one were on par with each other, which rarely happens. It's usually like the first or second is a really good one, but these 2 were like equally the same for me. So I'm wondering if it's going to end off really well. I know that a lot of series don't always, like the last book doesn't always live up to the beginning. So hopefully they end it in a good way. But regardless of that, I enjoyed 2/3 of this series so far. And yeah, in case you didn't gather from my very excited review of this book, I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. That's also another book I have to wait to read because Marcus hasn't read that yet, so I'm going to be pushing him to read that one. And that's all the books I read in the month of March. Let me know if you have read any of those books as well and what your thoughts were. I would love to know. Also, tell me what books you read in March, or mention any books that you think I would be interested in. I post videos every Thursday, and now starting I'm going to be doing them on Mondays as well. You guys know the drill. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And until next time, keep on reading.